Cut out hearts and sprinkle some glitter. Indiana Jones knows it gets better. With a brush in hand and a dream in mind, making magic out of fabric and twine. Craft supplies scattered on the floor. Imagination, we all crave more. Glue and scissors, tape and thread, turning every day into bright red. Hey, Indiana Jones, let your colors fly. Every little project, reaching for the sky. Happy hands and a smile so wide, crafting a world where dreams reside.
Welcome to my channel, Crafting with me, Indiana Jones, and welcome to the Spring and Easter collab hosted by the lovely and sweet Liana DIY. We're also joined by Crafting with JC and Lori Bly DIY and DIY Next Door. Please check out all of these lovely ladies' channels and the full playlist included in the description down below. Now let's hop into action as I create some bunny inspired decor for your Easter. Before I get started with the bunnies, I had this fabric that I had left over from my projects last week. If you saw my florals, my fabric florals, I used mainly scraps of satin and chiffon and organza as well, but I had this to create some more flowers and I decided to use that for this project today. So I had these styrofoam balls stashed away from last year because I never got around to use them last year, and I decided, well, this is a great way to use this fabric. All I did was rip the fabric in very thin pieces. As you can see there, they're probably like 1/4 of an inch thick to 1/2 inch thick, and what I'm doing is twisting and turning. And yes, you do have to rip the fabric. I know that sound sometimes can drive you mad, but the fraying is what makes these tattered eggs so beautiful. And yes, I'm going to call them tattered eggs. It almost sounds like some kind of British recipe. Tattered eggs. If you made something called tattered eggs, what would you cover your eggs with? I'm thinking like a hard-boiled egg and then wrapping it with like pastry, like strands of pastry in the same way, like ripped pastry. Imagine that. That sounds pretty good to me. I don't know. And then you fry it up. Ooh, that sounds pretty good. Anyway, I've got to try my own recipe of tattered eggs one day. So all I'm doing is just twisting and turning, and there is a little visitor there. That's Kudu if you hadn't met her before, my little black cat. She's also my quality control cat. So all I'm doing is twisting and turning as I'm adding the fabric, and I am using hot glue. So please be very careful. Either use low temp hot glue or use those little rubber things for the ends of your fingers. I don't need those because I've burnt off the ends of my fingers. They no longer feel any pain. But look at how beautiful. Then I added a little bit of that trim that you see, that lacy trim. But there's Luna, because one cat isn't enough for crafting. We need two. So she's here. She's going to protect and guide over those fabrics that I'm using and not let me use them in a minute. But all I am doing is twisting and wrapping and rolling that fabric around, and it just creates such a beautiful, just a beautiful look. So if you have like old eggs, old Easter eggs, the plastic ones, you can use the plastic ones. They don't have to be styrofoam. Oh, there's Luna. She got very defensive when I grabbed another little piece of fabric, but it doesn't have to be styrofoam. It could be those plastic eggs. If you have old plastic eggs lying around, before you throw anything away in the garbage, think about how you can use it in a different way. And this would be a perfect use of those larger plastic eggs. So here I've just finished my second one. I do create a few more and you'll see them later in the video, but I think they look fabulous. Now, if you watched my IOD video, which I have linked here, I used some of these embroidery hoops to actually create a decor item using IOD stamp and IOD stamp. Now this one was one that was from my mother's stash that was so old and brittle that it fell apart. So I'm just going to use a few pieces. I'm going to use the main piece, which is this, the outer piece. And as you can see, I'm just gluing it into this styrofoam base. I just had this styrofoam base once again laying around. Instead of throwing it in the garbage, I'm going to use it. And instead of investing in more styrofoam, just use what you get in all those packages. Now I'm using some of this sheet moss that I had, and actually I got some of this as clearance from Walmart, believe it or not. And I think it came out, I'm almost sure it came out to like something like 29 cents, something ridiculous. I'm using some floral pins just to hold it in place right now as I figure out what I'm going to do. Because I started this project, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I had these hoops and I said, you know, let me try to figure out how I can use this for a centerpiece for Easter. Now, if you don't have embroidery hoops, you can also use the metal hoops that are available at the Dollar Tree. That's the, I think, most inexpensive place to get something similar to this. It doesn't have to be a wooden hoop, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to make something similar. Now, as I finish adding all of that moss around, of course, I'm going to add it to the base of my styrofoam as well. And again, anytime you have sheet moss like this, it's so much easier. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with moss. I really do love using moss in my projects. It makes everything look so whimsical and springy, but the mess it makes. You talk about glitter making a mess. My goodness gracious. Moss is right, it's the cousin to glitter. And here comes Luna again because I have to have my quality control cats, and I couldn't find, I think I used their cat containment units to contain some of my crafting. So she didn't have her cat containment unit, but she behaved really well, staying there in her little corner as I added my the last pieces of my moss. And the reason I like to use the cat containment units is they usually like to go to sleep in those, and when I'm using items like glue or paint, I don't want them to get into that stuff. So here I'm just finishing up the moss, and then it's time to start decorating. As I mentioned before, the inner ring of this embroidery hoop literally split into 3. So I tried to create kind of a little basket, as you see on the side there, with one of the partially broken hoops. And so I decided to add this ivy that I had in my stash, and I think somebody gave it to me simply because I believe this was used for a wedding or a baby shower, and they didn't know what to do with it afterwards. They had 1 or 2 packages that were completely unopened, and I was like, okay, it's free, it's coming home with me. And that's exactly what I did. So now there's the hoop with all of the ivy, and I like ivy for spring. And now I'm going to use some of these wonderful little I don't know what they're called, like seed beads or whatever you want to call them, but they're purple. For some reason today was purple day, because all of my decor turned out with purple. I like purple. I don't know why I don't use more of my purple flowers, and so I gathered all my purple things, all my purple flowers and buds and beads, and decided I was going to make this into a very whimsical and natural little bramble. I think that's what you should call this, like a little bramble, because I love those kind of things for spring and especially for Easter. Something about rabbits and brambles. It reminds me of Peter Rabbit and those paintings where it was like this a lot of wild flowers and wild undergrowth, such as this vine. I just absolutely love it for spring. So here I'm adding these little purple flowers. These are more like a blue purple, and the other ones are a little more magenta purple, but they all work so well together. And I'm looking at this now and I'm realizing I forgot to add a butterfly to this. I've already filmed everything, so I'm not going to add a butterfly now, but I will add a butterfly for my own sake. Now, this bunny rabbit I had gotten at Hobby Lobby, believe it or not, and they gave it to me for like 50 cents because it was broken. Literally, it was broken. The foot was broken. The ears were broken. It was there on their shelf. Luckily, I found the ear, and I couldn't find it. It was like 90% off. And they gave me a little extra bonus because I found the little pieces and I was willing to take it home. So I think they gave it to me for 50 cents. But look at how cute this turned out. Now you'll see the full effect in the final reveal. I love to encourage people to repurpose what items they have around the house. And here is a perfect example. This lantern, it was all decked out for Christmas. I still had it decked out for Christmas. I had a bunch of pine cones down below with some candles. And I decided this is absolutely perfect for spring and Easter. Look at this beautiful bunny. I buy all of my Easter stuff right after Easter at Hobby Lobby for 90% off. I will never ever spend full price on anything ever when I can get it for clearance, and especially at 90% off. I wait and wait and wait and watch every day to make sure that I get there the first day that things go 90% off. And there were a bunch of these bunnies. I don't know why. I think they're so elegant. And I thought it was perfect for almost like a primitive looking kind of decor. I know I use this lantern as well for Halloween. And yes, I realized I glued the bunny down into the metal instead of putting it on styrofoam. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. I just put the moss there and now I'm gluing the flowers. But, fear not. This is going to be reusable once again because glue, hot glue especially, is so easy to take off with just a little bit of a heat gun. And voila, it'll just come off so I can use it again and again and again for all the seasons that are coming up. I love items like this that you can reuse for all the different seasons. I hope you have something similar to this that you can recreate your own little bunny, kind of like naturescape with that little bunny. And now I'm going to add a bow. I always have that bow challenge, whether or not to add a bow or not. And I had this in my stash. I went to a garage sale where this woman was a crafter and was literally giving things away. This originally, she had it for 25 cents. You can see the pricing right there next to me. But and then I had picked out so many things that she gave me a whole box of crafting supplies, including all these ribbons, and I think it was all for $5. So it was quite a steal. Really, really good. So thank you again to the crafter that's out there. She made beautiful wreaths, and unfortunately she just ran out of space. We all have that situation. So it came to my home, and I'm so happy to include it in my crafting video today. This was such a great find at my local church bazaar. I love going to church bazaars. Now is the season for all the church bazaars, and I absolutely love it. This little bunny basket I got for $1, but there was stuff inside the basket and they just gave it to me. They just here, take it with everything. So I can't remember if it was the greenery that was in it that I just took out and cleaned it, and I'm putting it back in that plasticky greenery, and now I'm adding my own florals and stuff. And once again, we're going to continue with purple. And Luna is here as my quality control cat to make sure that I create the best basket possible. There she is. She's very stoic and she's serious about her job as quality control cat for today. And so first I thought this was going to be a wonderful little receptacle for my fabric tattered eggs. And there you can see that I had created a few more, one with lace and another one with some more of that fabric. And then I was like, it looks kind of dull. Then I went to Joann's the other day to check out all the major sales that they keep saying they're going to have because they're closing, which is, upsetting. Luna didn't like the bunny rabbit, but I got this bunny rabbit and the original price was like $16.99, people. And we wonder why they're out of, even at 50% off, that's insane. And we wonder why they went out of business. Luna is telling me to get back on task here, so let me get back on task. I finally decided to go with some florals because I had these lovely purpley florals. And all I'm doing is adding one of those styrofoam pieces from the Dollar Tree. I love those because you can use those for anything. They're the green ones and they almost look like, oh my gosh, look at Luna. She's intense. Blink. Luna, blink. Okay, there you go. My goodness, she just totally distracted me while I was doing a voiceover. Anyway, I didn't use moss because I ran out of moss. Too many mossy things. I gotta invest in some more moss. So I just used some greenery to cover up, some vine greenery that I had in my stash to cover up that styrofoam. And now I'm adding these wonderful florals that, again, I had in my stash already, hadn't used them. I've seen them on my wall for years. If you don't know, I have a flower wall, kind of like the Wonder Wall from Oasis, but it's my flower wall. Okay, anyway, so I was looking at them. I was like, this is the year you're going to be used. I've seen you too long. And here I'm just adding some more florals to the bottom. And I really like the way it turned out with those florals at the top. Again, I could use this. I can change this around. And I adjusted the bunny ears. And here is our final reveal.
Morning light dances on her crafted stage, each creation turning a brand new page. Kuru purrs contentedly by her side. Luna leaps with grace in joyous pride. With scissors and sparkles she weaves magic tunes. Indiani's joy beneath the bright moon. Cool and Luna whiskers twitching soon. Inspiration blooms in every room.
I want to thank Liana for inviting me to this wonderful collaboration together with Crafting with JC, Lori Bly DIY, and DIY Next Door. Please remember to check their channels and the full playlist for all your Easter inspirations. I also want to thank you for stopping by, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure, and I will see you again very, very soon.